planted.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to SpikeTalk. I'm SM. You guys know me as Steve, the producer. We're just kind of coming together for an emergency episode. You guys know what happened, and we're here to talk about it. It's a little early for Baby Bay, let alone the fact that he's tied up in G2 World at the moment. Hector, I know you got a lot of feelings on this. Everything from the financial aspects of what down in your firsthand experience of where things went wrong at Talon, but also just your feelings on everything from like Jake's statement to what's going to happen to the players, what your involvement was in trying to make something happen. Where do you want to start?
I think we start from the top. This is the second time me and you have been in a situation like this. The first one is flip side.
Right.
I think that's like a crazy part of all of this is like I've been through this before when it was our company.
Mm-hmm.
Circumstances are different, obviously, but you know, it's not easy. I think it's real easy to like, you know, poke fun or talk shit or whatever, but like, you know, this impacts a lot of people. I remember initially it was me, Finch, you, Dana, the most affected by this. And then, you know, obviously the players. Now the players found like success because, you know, Blade ended up building Navi's, you know, CS division, and Cooksier and Markey did their own thing, and Mystic did his own thing and stuff. But even our fighting game players did their thing, Crossfire, everybody. But yeah, it's just kind of surreal that it happened twice in my lifetime. You know, this is already kind of.
I think we're both
strange.
Could easily say though that based on what we see in esports and the way teams are run, that we're surprised it hasn't happened more often.
Yeah, I would say.
And I mean, what are you saying? Are you saying specifically that
yeah.
A team getting removed from the league or a team going under due to financials? Because I think there's two different pieces.
No, a team going under due to financials. Especially because like some of these guys are able to keep raising even though they suck.
Yeah. And do we know that's happening for Talon, or we're just reading the writing on the wall at this point? Because they basically killed every division that was making any sort of money, right? If I don't know if there's anything.
I mean,
left.
I can't say. I know they had a round and it closed, and then something happened, and I think that's what started the, you know, where, you know, when you close a round, you think you're done,
right? And
then all of a sudden the money doesn't come, and you're just sitting there like, wait a minute, and
that we do know about, yeah, or at least you know about. I've always just, for the record, when it came to flip side, I've just been I was just a content and visual sort of guy at most, and I was admittedly 1 foot in, 1 foot out, because I was also working for one of our sponsors for many years of that thing.
And then the MLB Network, don't sell yourself short, and then you got an Emmy, and you know, life went
right
on,
team at the right time.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, people would be surprised by how much money we were like so close to, and how many orgs ended up taking that money and, you know, have been dog shit ever since. But that's a conversation for a different day. But I think that's the easy part to forget, is that like, you know, these are people too, and it was a shitty thing to have happen. But I enjoyed my time with Talon. I think the people there were great. I don't have complaints about my time there. And I think that's what's so sad, is that I've been around and I kind of know these dickheads that like are in esports and shouldn't be. And I've complained about these guys very openly. I didn't have that story. I don't have that story at Talon. You know, and like, I think I will say how I feel about this is that a good org went under. And I think that's actually bad for esports, not good for esports. You know, and then, I mean, you know, this is the thing that still sticks with me to this day. So when I grew up, I was always told, you know, you don't have a good business if you're losing money. And remember, flip side, I mean, you know better than anybody. You remember our tax returns. I was breaking even in the era where everyone is losing money hand over fist.
Mm.
And I thought for sure if anyone was going to get investment, it has to be us. We're the only one that's like not losing money in every division, and we're actually making kind of like, we're doing okay. And that didn't happen, right? Because
we just didn't fit any sort of mold. I mean, let alone like you not being able to sell you being able to sell yourself, and like people kind of, you know, I busted your balls for years, and we both know that like you weren't always necessarily the best financial representation. You're not like the best face to be like trying to get everybody to play nice necessarily for money purposes, but also I think,
dude, I didn't know a rich person until I was 28 because I'm from the projects in New York City. This is like a thing that people don't realize.
And people don't realize we were doing all that with less than a dozen people. Like there was really, it was like you were coaching basically every division we had. I mean,
Right.
To give credit where credit's due, we mentioned Blade. Like, yeah, he was a player at the time, but I mean, he was Blade then too. You know what I mean?
He was effectively my boss.
You've always managed to find
telling me what to do.
Players who end up becoming pretty capable leaders, or at least finding one of them. I can't say that some of the other stars that we found were necessarily good leaders, just good players. But we're kind of getting off topic.
Marky tried, but yeah. But it's the point that, like, I think I have a good radar for this, and I mean, it ultimately happened to us too. I mean, you make a bad bet, or you don't see it coming, right? Like, or you don't see something coming, and then all of a sudden, all of this shit turns out to be a house of cards. But like, I didn't see, the private equity and VCs basically going, oh, you need to scale, right? Scalability. You need to lose money in order to make money. Like, that stuff was kind of foreign to me, because I was always told if you don't have a good business, or you don't have a good business if you're losing money. And that didn't apply in esports. And you see all these people like raising money and, all this stuff. And for the most part, I think Talon was pretty good. I mean, I think they had a lot of success, bro, like us, in almost every division. I mean, they didn't win as many world championships as we did, but they competed in every fucking game, from Dota to, League to, Valorant. And so it's kind of surprising when I started to realize that there was problems.
Mm-hmm.
But we were so knee deep in the season, those problems didn't affect us. Like, obviously not getting a paycheck should affect you, but we've been in it a long time, so most of us aren't really paycheck to paycheck. And also, if we're being really honest too, Talon took care of us in the sense that, like, our apartments were paid for, our food was paid for. So it did, you don't really feel it when you're not like, when you're not like responsible for everything, and then you see your bank account depleting, you kind of don't feel it. But when your bank account isn't depleting, it's just like staying stagnant. It's not really that. I mean, it sounds like white people problems, but like, it's not really that bad.
You can say all that while acknowledging the privilege of the situation. There's nothing wrong.
For sure. Yeah. So we started acknowledging there were problems, and I knew pretty much early on. I'd say earlier this year, I pretty much felt that there was no way I could come back, because they didn't want to renegotiate. So it starts with, like, they didn't want to renegotiate. Like, we make champs, have a good off season. You would think, okay, time to renegotiate my contract. Now, you know me, I'm always going to bet on myself. So I basically was like, yo, if we start the fucking season and we haven't renegotiated this deal, because I've grossly outperformed my contract, I'm hitting free agency, bro. Like, that is just not, But in the midst of that, you started to realize that like certain things were happening. And, I don't want to get too into specifics, but they started, venturing into different games and titles. And this can get really tricky if you don't have the success and you don't have the means, ultimately. And let's just fast forward to the end, basically. It's pretty obvious that, like, a bunch of us were owed money for a long time. And I won't say the name, but a player came forward and said something to Riot first. And it started this like cascading effect of then, Riot inquiring, and then Riot making mandates and saying, hey, listen, if you don't get this, if you don't course correct this, this is going to be a problem. And
so just to interrupt real quick.
Yeah.
How have they set up a situation where it takes a player having to speak up and not having more accountability checks about? I know this is an opening a can of worms for like your bigger feelings, but like, if there's specific expectations about financials and the way you run your business to stay in the league, how is there not like an ongoing audit process for that? And I'm speaking completely out of school. I'm a fucking video guy, you know what I mean? But like,
that is a great question. But man, you would think that with all the NBA, don't forget, I'm not a culture fit to work at that company, and all the MBAs, this is their fucking shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is where their sophistication comes in and their education. And yet, how are there not checks and balance? That is an amazing question. One that probably should have been solved after this already happened twice. Because didn't we have Legia here talk about bleed last year?
Yeah.
And aren't we now talking about this again?
Yep.
Man, you would think, bro, these MBAs would be like on this shit. Oh, man.
There's a
Interesting
lot
question.
of
Well, I don't know how this happens, to be honest. To be forthright with you, I don't know. To me, it's more ineptitude than anything else, but that's a conversation potentially for a different day.
On the note of bleed, I mean, there's a lot of chatter happening because people are latching on to what they know in these situations. How is this different from bleed or different from the koi situation?
So the Koi situation was they were in meeting obligations, and some of the obligations, as far as I'm concerned, aren't, or as far as I know, aren't really financial. It was more like they just weren't doing any of the other um break points that you have to hit to be part of the league, right?
You
So
just
you have
weren't
to do
trying
like
hard enough.
content and you have to
Yeah.
do all that stuff. Yeah. And it was pretty evident that like they just were kind of like skirting. And there
Mhm.
were other teams that really wanted to get in the league. So I think a little bit of it was gamesmanship too, right? You know, some
Yep.
people pointing out, hey, these guys aren't doing shit, but if you get us, you know, and I think it kind of that. And then bleed situation to me, uh, from what I know, and I don't want to speak to Leggy or Darion or anybody who's not here, but I will just say that um Talon actually had their shit in order for a while and could be trusted and like all that stuff. And they hit a bad period. Whereas the bleed situation was kind of like, you know, it was always, I think, shoot from the hip there. Like it
Yep.
wasn't a real company. It didn't have structure. It didn't have like the prerequisites, I think, to take it seriously, which is an amazing. They were able to. I think what I don't understand really about the bleed situation is back to your checks and balance thing is how it seemed to confuse people for so long when people knew about the sketchiness or shadiness from well before. Like well before they even got into the league and qualifying into the league. We had all heard the stories.
Gotcha.
So that one is a little bit interesting. This one is more like rug got pulled out just because of a, you know, an unfortunate business transaction.
Yeah, and
And then, you
especially,
know, just topple like a house of cards.
I mean, Talon has had a pretty loyal fan base. You know, the Thai component, especially with the Valorant roster. To the other points you just made, Koi not being as on board with like promoting the scene, promoting themselves, being part of the sort of content and everything else that Riot expected of people. Like Talon was hitting all those marks. I mean, should we shout out our boy Zoo all the time? Like content creation, staying on top of those
Yeah.
boys. I think Talon does it as good, if not better, than anybody else. So it's a shame to see that happen. And
Yeah.
just my personal experience, I went to Korea twice last year and spent some time with you and the Talon boys, and I have a limited set of experience in terms of, or at least a limited set of like traditional experience. Most of my esports involvement has kind of been at your hip, so I haven't had like experience in and out of other teams. It's always been kind of by your side. But the way they treated you and the way they've treated me and the way like just hanging out with those guys, I mean, we're some of the best. There's some of the best like people in esports I've ever been around. So for what it's worth,
Yeah. Yeah.
echoing everything you
Same.
said, they were good. They were good dudes.
Right.
And I feel for those players. I mean, like, that's a good top. I know you have a lot of thoughts on this matter too, but like, what's going to happen to those guys? Obviously, that they are free to take offers, but what are the options now? You see the knee jerk reaction of the fans is like, oh, X team can pick up Primi, blah blah blah. But unless something's changed drastically in the past 6 months, his English is not where it needs to be to compete, to slot into a lot of these places. No other roster is speaking Thai. So, what do you think's going to happen? What do you know about what's happened over the past couple
Talent
months?
is talent is talent. So, okay, let's start from the beginning. So when I first heard that there was real issues and real issues that weren't going to be fixed, you know me, you know my connections. Like most of these Valorant people don't even fucking know, right? So I'm sitting there taking lumps from people talking shit when like, you know how deep my scope is and my network is. The moment that crws told me we have a serious problem, this is the problem. And the moment that my GM alerted me that this will probably be a likely outcome, I immediately got on the phones and I had I would say three of the biggest orgs in esports that aren't already in VCT ready to sign everybody, basically absorb all of the talent Valorant division. I had them all. You know me. It took me literally 72 hours. Boom, done. Had the deals done and everything. Negotiated it myself. So got the players more money, got the staff, got everybody picked up. You know, Zoo, people like Zoo included, my GM Dohoon, obviously. Like I had all that shit done. Like, all right, let's do this. And then, you know me also. So I'm smart enough to navigate this shit. So I won't say names, but I went to someone at Riot in LA and I went to someone in Singapore and I knew exactly what to do with Riot Korea. So I basically put people on fucking notice and I basically had them like, hey, listen, this shit might happen. If it happens, this is what I want to do. I need you to support me, right? Because I already know what the process is to get in the league. Because remember, I was at Furia when we were making the bid to get in there in the first place. Right. So I understand basically this whole thing. And I have a good relationship with some of the people at G2. So I know everything that happened there too. So I'm already like, okay, the precedent has already been set, right? Or this is what I thought. The precedent was already set. I already have orgs that are big enough and good enough to pass inspection to make the league. Basically, everybody could be safe. We're chilling, right? So this happens, and I'm telling everybody, all right, we good. So then I get my GM Dohoon involved, and then I basically go, okay, next step is on you, right? You need to have a conversation with like, Riot, you need to figure it out. And because I'm not a part of those conversations, it's irrelevant for me to talk about it. But I would just say that I think the message is that so the press releases that they're putting out aren't actually accurate regarding how Riot has handled the situation. Because the reason why people like me and Jovi are not with them is because of Riot directly. So
the reason you aren't with the players still?
Yeah. So we already had this problem solved. Now, obviously, Talon was given permission to fix and rectify the issue however they were going to do it. And for me, I have no problem with this. I only set up a backup plan in case, because that's my expertise.
Right.
That's the stuff I know how to do is contingencies, right? Have, backups to make sure everybody is always going to be.
And I only know part of this narrative just because, we're boys and we talk about it, but I don't like stay into the day-to-day loop on this thing. So without, I don't think revealing anything, I don't even know enough to reveal. The idea in this case was coordinating with probably potential teams to fill that slot, to pick up the roster and just kind of move everything over in one piece.
Right.
Now, do you think this fell apart because the Riot's inevitable choice for this slot isn't someone that was part of that conversation? Or, I guess, you say I guess I'm falling short on the right question to ask, but maybe you said
it's hard for me to say simply because I wasn't directly. So first off, let's just start with the obvious. The obvious is I'm pretty sure the people that made these decisions and determinations already knew that we had a backup plan and what the backup plan was. And then I caught wind that they would prefer an Asian org. I got an Asian org now. So now I had 4 teams. 3 of them are bigger than obviously, even Talon. And then one of them was an Asian org that would satisfy the request, right? So when I heard that, I was like, okay. And then we were told, well, that's probably not how it's going to work. Riot will probably go through their network and then they decide. And then this is what really started raising alarm bells was the organization that we select will decide what to do with the spot in the roster. That was immediately like, wait a minute, why? And then we can't even get a heads up as to who to start discussing it now. So this is already breaking the precedent that was already set by the G2 situation with Guard, because they were able to bring a team themselves and negotiate themselves. But somehow now, all of a sudden, we're not. Right? And if the argument was, oh, wait, but you're bringing EMEA orgs and an NA org and not an APAC org, well, that's cap because we brought an APAC org. So as far as I'm concerned, that doesn't pass the smell test either.
I got to say, it's not surprising from my perspective. I know it's just a continual disappointment for you trying to put players and personnel first and have them actually, continue to play out their opportunity they've been given instead of been kind of shafted by the whole situation. But honestly, it's not surprising that that's how it went down. I mean, it obviously.
Oh, it's not easy.
Yeah.
Or sorry, it's not even easy for me to admit that
Right.
I'm disappointed by this and I'm surprised because I thought I literally did your job for you. I solved the problem as well and as efficient as I could.
Mm-hmm.
And then for it to not go that certain way, and then obviously to get some of the press releases that came out, which are complete cap, by the way, is just kind of crazy to me because the moment I saw the APAC issue, it should have been a done deal. Then we're catching wind that there's potentially a Japanese team that might come in.
Right.
And then crws meets with the Japanese team. And basically he's like, hey, they might just go Japanese, bro. They kind of straight up told me, like, this is just how it is. And I'm like, so now I'm thinking, wait a minute. These guys might not be in VCT. Are we trolling right now?
And that's kind of what started this conversation, because you see the narrative happening in the conversation who's going to pick up 5 Thai players when most people only think it's Primi that's worth a damn. You and me both know it's a much more complicated situation than that. Like, what options do they have at this point without someone blowing up a roster in VCT?
Right. So then I start the consulting thing. And now I start telling, okay, listen, here's what we have to do. Da, 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 da. So I'm just going to say, I sent someone to speak to Riot Korea, right? And this person is intimately involved and should have been the person to represent all of us anyways, to put it that way, wink, wink, because he's too chicken shit to actually say this publicly. So I'll have to do it for him. So he goes there, and then basically they tell him, well, the orgs own the spot, not the players. Mm-hmm. So you guys can't decide what to do here. And now we're really like, wait a fucking minute.
Well, that's what I'm saying. From their perspective, of course, that's what they're going to say. But like, we couldn't like come together and combine all these factors into a best case scenario for everybody involved. How fucking hard is that? I mean, it's way hard.
But the thing is,
out there from their perspective. But like,
I have 2 problems with this though. Precedent was already set, and that is the biggest argument I have. We already set the fucking precedent for this. We're not asking for favors.
And I'm not debating you. I would just say that like what you're saying is precedent is just a coincidence that they got it, that it went that way.
Sure, maybe. But you know what also is a coincidence? Bleed happened. For sure. This is the second time this shit's happening.
Yeah. No debate.
Is it coincidence or is it ineptitude now of the highest order? Let's just call spades. This is a spade. Mm-hmm. This is now the second time this happened, and we don't have a better way to deal with this or mitigate this, like you basically already brought up, because this was my biggest argument from the beginning. Hey, man, I'm doing your fucking job for you. This shit is easy. Slam dunk. Like, let's go. Let's just do this thing, right? You give Talon all the time they need to fix it. If they can't fix it, okay, unlucky. Now it's our turn. Mm-hmm. This is how it should have been. And the thing that cements this argument to me the most is simple. Riot is parading around crws with this VCT 5-year anniversary thing, promoting him as like one of the pillars and figures of VCT Korea or VCT Pacific.
And he doesn't have a team, as far as you know.
Not only does he have a team, they're actively working against him, keeping his team together, despite having solved the problem for them in the first place.
Right.
Which one is it? Is he this pillar of the community that you need in VCT Pacific, or is he not? This is what I don't understand.
I think that people making those decisions are 2 entirely different portions of Riot.
Well, and ergo, we have a problem because at just like the rule set that exists, why is Pacific playing under a different rule set than NA? Why is the top of that company different than the bottom? What are we doing, man?
Yep.
And more importantly, what is the ethos? Are we player first? Do we care about this league? Do we care about competitive integrity? Wink, wink. Because I'm not going to bring that one up, but hey, who benefits from this happening, by the way? Let's talk about this some more. It's certainly not Southeastern Asia, I can tell you that. Right? So I'm just having a really big problem here trying to understand the logic, because I have tried to be as thoughtful as possible towards their predicament. And I've really tried to give them grace in almost every step. But really, I came to the point where it's indefensible now. it's indefensible because, okay, there's going to be a group that might say, why are you mad? They probably just wanted to get rid of you, right? Because this has been the case, 100 Thieves, Furia. It didn't matter the success they had, right? Ultimately, obviously I was the problem, right? So this could be another case of that, right? But Jovi would leave too.
Mm.
Cruz would think so little of me. Okay, fine. Maybe. This is possible. But he's also going to do that to Jovi? Jovi would also lead the team too?
And I don't think that's the case unless there's
of
bad
course
blood.
not.
I mean, I know that he's kind of grown and ready to step to another level that feels like doesn't need to be part of your direct system, maybe, but otherwise there's no bad blood there. Yeah.
Right. So then explain to me why, if they are, if the exact verbiages were helping the players, then why are both of the coaches that got them there, and why is the guy that built the program in the first place not with them then? Explain that one to me, because that shit doesn't make sense, right? Because, again, I'm certainly given the latitude that history will say maybe I'm the problem, right? Because, this is a thing.
I think it's a different piece of the puzzle. I think.
Sure. Forget that.
I think Riot people's issue with you is a small piece, small grain of sand compared to the bigger issue.
Sure, but the point I'm trying to make is, then why, if they were helping us from the beginning, are they out both of their coaches? Because that piece of the puzzle doesn't make any sense, and that, I think, is the overwhelming issue here. Is I just have grown really tired of Riot's rhetoric personally. I am actually really tired of the hypocrisy and both ineptitude that continue to come out of this.
And if I were to summarize it, I guess it's the putting out public statements about supporting the players and doing the best for them, and really behind the scenes that plenty of solutions have been provided, and then they've gone the opposite direction. So is that summarized kind of
than
anybody?
Yeah. What were they doing to me? They were apologizing to me when they put out that press release for me, talking about how I was unprofessional and an asshole like 5 years ago. You remember that?
Yeah.
But behind the scenes, they're basically like, "Hey, sorry, we kind of, we kind of fucked that." As soon as the video comes out, it's an entirely different story. It's like, "Yo, my bad," blah,
right.
blah, blah, blah.
But
we can't go back on our word.
Even then, were they kissing your ass, or were they kissing Nade's at some level? You know what I mean?
Sure. But the point is, if you're doing it, you're doing it, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're in the wrong, you're in the wrong.
Yeah.
And the thing that really grinded my gears was our priority is to identify a team that can resonate with our Thai community to ensure we maintain representation in VCT. Well, if that's the case, then really, why was Talon, who isn't really known for being a Thai org, the one responsible for the spot in the first place? Because clearly they didn't think that they had a strong enough Thai team to do that in the first place.
Right.
And now, yeah.
And that's another big part of the conversation. People seem to think it's a given that Boom gets the spot as the way, just based on the way things have gone. I see Full Sense being thrown around, who is Thai. Am I understanding?
Thai. They are Thai. Yes, they are Thai.
I'm the worst.
Yeah, so
me being an esports pundit in this case is honestly super ironic. I'm usually just the behind the scenes guy. I just know Hector's career enough to have this conversation. But
yeah, it's just crazy to me that like they can basically go, I have spoken directly with the affected players about their options. Yeah, when? Because you clearly have made decisions contrary to this. So they now want to come in and pretend that they're being good guys, when in reality, they literally screwed over everybody in the situation. Because I won't say the name, but someone from Riot directly told me, Hector, this probably isn't going to go the way you think. You probably should just take one of the offers that are on the table with any of the other teams that were going to you. And I turned down offers already to go back to Talon because of a conversation that Cruz and I had about giving it one last chance before everything resets. And at the last second, it was like, well, you might go coachless, or you might not be able to coach for a whole year. So you need to figure out what to do quickly. And I did. And then, obviously it's a house of cards, because then, people like Elevated were affected and GE was affected, all because of decisions I made. But like, that's pretty much what happened. So it's like, if we're trying to pretend to be the good guys, I'm not the one you're about to bullshit with on that one. So that's why we did the emergency episode, because heck no. People are not about to get free passes here pretending to be good guys when they're actually not. And in my opinion, in my honest opinion, very clearly, blatantly worked so hard against us that we ended up in a position that we're splintering. because as you so intelligently pointed out, these players are free agents now. So technically speaking, if orgs wanted one of the best IGLs in the world, they can pick up crws, and if orgs wanted one of the most talented people in all of Valorant, they can pick up Primy.
And let's talk about that just really briefly. One piece I don't think we've talked about on SpikeTalk, because like it was kind of ambiguous where you were going to settle. I don't think we've really talked since you've actually been officially settled at GE. Did you get a chance to really, like, for lack of a better term, say goodbye to those guys? I know things were kind of ambiguous on the way out. And then also, I think we should just talk, and we've talked about it a lot, but I think people need to understand that, like, Primy is him, but also, like, there's a lot to be said about the 5 Thai guys playing together and how much that influenced his ability to show off, and how valuable these other guys are, despite nobody wanting to mention their fucking names.
True.
In the Primy conversation.
Right. You'll be disappointed in me to know, because we have not talked about this. I have been a big pussy. I have almost avoided these former players. I can't face them. I can't talk to them. It was pretty tough.
Including crws, or have you not talked to crws at all either?
No. We've kind of talked, but we're like, we definitely have like avoided the conversation.
Right, because you were all being hopeful about something that was going to happen. Yeah.
Right. So we have like, it's kind of, it's fucking awkward. Like, I would just say that, I've been too chicken shit to actually say my goodbyes and have the conversation with them on a personal level.
I want to say it's a bummer, but the fact that you're phrasing it like that, I'm proud of you for feeling that way. So,
I'm a pussy and they know it. So now I'm trying to like mask it with like toughness, like crws. I'm gonna beat your ass, right? Like that's like the only way I know how to deal with this correctly. Because if not, it's just and plus, like, I'm with new players now, so it's like, and you know me, I'm never going to be that guy that like just talks about my old team to this one. That's not, no. Once the Band-Aid is ripped off, the Band-Aid is ripped off.
And that's kind of the whole point in everything we were just talking about. You were ready to run it back, and we're happy to run it back with that squad if you had a team to support you and you don't, or an org to support you and you don't. So it is what it is.
Yeah, and we were basically told we don't, and then all of a sudden now they are. It's like, wait a minute. How does this happen?
I didn't get that from their statement. They don't say anything about keeping them together or anything like that. They just are hoping
our priority is to identify a team that could resonate with our Thai community. It tells me that they're trying to get, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, that's the PR speak. That shit is going to.
I understand. Yeah. To be fair, I stand corrected. Yeah.
Yeah. That is some fucking cap, bro. That is straight up cap. Because if they wanted us to be together. So first off, if they wanted to support crws, they could have. And all they had to do was give him a inkling of support and say, don't worry, brother. We will take care of it. Let's just figure out this thing and as long as crws gave me and Jovi the confidence, we were chilling. But they didn't. So then crws and obviously Talon had to make a choice, and they had to tell us, hey, listen, that's why Jovi and I mean, even in my tweet, I'm like, well, this is not what I expected. Because I had expected for us to come back on. And then all of a sudden I'm told, yo, you might have to get other options, because Riot is basically telling us fuck off without obviously saying those exact words, right? This is the impression they got. And then crws was trying to hustle and like trying to figure out his way. And I'm like coaching them up. I'm like, okay, this is what you got to do. You got to talk to this person. You got to see if this is going to be correct. If it is correct, then okay. Then you go to the next problem. Like, you know me, you solve enough problems that eventually all your problems go away. But you got to tackle them one at a time, and you got to like do it in a specific order, right? Because it's just strategy at that point. And that's like my thing. So, and no matter what the news I got, it was always shit. It was always bad. It wasn't as quick and developed as, say, the G2 thing, where it was almost like seemingly in 48 hours, everything flipped for them. For us, we were waiting for almost 2 months. With 2 months with almost no guarantees. And then every coaching job kept coming up, and everything kept everything kept happening. And then it got to the point where basically crws and everybody else is like, yo, I think we might get fucked. Don't get fucked, basically. And then it was like, I mean, I guess. I mean, if that's the way it has to be, that's the way it has to be. And then all of a sudden, now we have the knight in shining armor pretending to like have been there the whole time, when that person was purposefully basically jerking us around and also telling us that like, shit may not go your way. Tough shit, man.
Right.
Which to me is just ironic that it's happening to the guy that they're parading around as like the fucking 5-year anniversary king. Like, that to me is just probably the most disingenuous thing about all of this.
Right.
Is crws as big a part of VCT Pacific as possible? If so, then why do we make it so difficult for him to keep the people around? I that's the thing that I don't understand.
Yep.
So that's sort of the thing that matriculated out over time that I started to go, huh, okay. And then I do truly believe this, that there's only one demographic here that benefits from basically Talon splintering the way that it did, because, Jovi went I went to GE. The thing I would like to make clear is one of the reasons I'm so angry and frustrated about all of this is that I still can't control my destiny. I come here to a fucking team that is 9th. We go top 4. We go top 3 the next year. I'm making as many changes as humanly possible. I had 9 rookies basically in the last 3 years, bro, if you go back to Furia. Nickel and diming everything. Tied for 2nd in the league when I'm in Furia. I still can't control my own destiny with performance, just like our days in Flipside. Now, that could be bad luck. It could be my fault. It could be whatever. But it is incredibly frustrating that me and my GL decide to do something together one more time, and now we can't even do that. And now I have to play against him, which I've been very open. I do want to eventually go up against crws and see what I do want to whip that ass. Big Brother's not
like
losing
anybody else
brother.
you've
but
had under you.
I want to do that on my terms and on his terms. Right? We want to do that when we're ready to do that. We don't want to be forced to do that by people that have no say and should have no say in our lives. Right? And as a matter of fact, I feel like we have been a good representation. Sure, you could talk shit about me and the termy thing or whatever. That's fine. But at least crws for sure has been a great representation.
Catch them shit for being salty on Twitter with their little anime gif.
Bro, rent free, bro. I don't care about these dweebs, bro. They know what's up, bro. The fact that they have to talk about us so goddamn much shows what the deal is, man. I don't mind the jest and the jokes, right? I think it's in some ways funny. Why I started this the way that I did was I also think there's a human element to this, that the people at Talon weren't bad. And this wasn't a situation of like the bleed thing and some of these other orgs. This is actually a good org with good people that just happened to run out of money, or things happened that made it to where they didn't have the money to continue. That is not the same as this is a shit org. Right. I feel like that's like so different. So I had to like start with that. And then on the back end of it, I'm angry, obviously, for myself, but I'm also angry for crws because he doesn't even get to control his own fate, even though he's been pretty much the most outstanding, like, human. And also, bro, he had people talk. He had a person call him a monkey. He had people talking shit to his face. No problems, no beef, no drama. Right? I'm the one that has to settle all of our debts, and that's fine. I'm with it. That's cool. This guy's been like the role model for everybody, right?
He's like the most level-headed person I might have ever met that's playing in at a competitive level.
100%. So to me, absolutely fantastic that he was being promoted as the like VGD Pacific 5th year, all that stuff.
Does he want to come on? I know we've talked about it in the past, but it's always been in season because we should see if he wants to come talk sometime.
I don't know. You
guys need to actually like put some closure on the situation before we do that either way.
No, I'm too much of a pussy, bro. I haven't said shit to nobody, bro. And it's like I got a little emotional one day when Thigh said something to me. So Thigh said something to me, and I was like, I didn't even want to respond. I didn't even know how to respond. And with crws, like I said, me and him haven't really had closure. We haven't even really had a conversation about this. And I really, not that I should air out my shit in public, but I almost don't want to have a conversation about this because I don't know where that shit is going to go.
I understand.
Right? Like not in a bad way, but like, yeah. But I feel like if there was ever a player that doesn't deserve to not control his fate, given what the fuck just happened with the turnaround that they were 9th. And then they were 3rd or 4th, and then they were 3rd. So clearly crws is doing something right. And clearly he deserves a spot in the league. And clearly everybody thought he was one of the best IGLs. People started actually talking about this. There's no way we make this guy's life difficult. It's okay to make my life difficult, right? If you wanted to get rid of me and I'm not good enough, okay, cool. But there's also no way Jovi was going to.
Yeah.
That I think is the big piece of this.
The good news is for crws is I think he, if he doesn't get a chance to play, I think in the next season or so, we absolutely see him transition to a coach role potentially, if nothing else. But which gives him more opportunities to get picked up. But he has unfinished business, I feel like, and was ready to to prove that. So,
and the thing is, I'm pretty sure they're going to play in the league. But the decision making by Riot has led to a point where now his former friends are now enemies, and now we're going to make their lives harder arbitrarily, just because. And goes back to I am not being conspiracy theorist, but I'm just saying, if you just read the tea leaves, there's only one demographic that benefits from this. Because I strongly feel like no one should have made Cruz' life more difficult than it already had to be given the situation. And I certainly feel like you want the ties, those kids in this league. They've proven they're good enough. Great story. They have a good leader. You can remove me out of it. Like, kick me out of Talon in this equation. Right? Jovi was a good story also.
No, it's fully in Cruz's hands at this point.
It should have stayed together.
And that's not to take away from, like, it's because of you that he is in that point now, or at least in large part because of that. But, like, now the pieces are all there, and it's fucking crazy that he's not getting the chance to prove.
And that's my problem, is that why was it not an immediate, okay, I'm glad you guys did this. Great job. We'll get to that in a minute. We're going to try to keep you guys together. Don't worry. Why was that not for 2 months what the rhetoric was? Why was it not a vote of confidence? Why was it actually the opposite way? And now why are we pretending as if, oh, yeah, this whole time we've been helping these guys? No, you have not. I would much rather a bullshit political PR piece come out than people blatantly lying as if I'm just going to sit here and take that as if like that's like my MO. Like, there's absolutely no way I'm going to allow that to happen. So the truth is, Cruz is too soft to say this, but his life was made very difficult for no reason, because it should have been a slam dunk that no matter what, he would have been in this league, this team would have been in this league, and our team could have remained together if we wanted.
Right.
Period. End of story. That should have happened, and that is not the story of what happened. And obviously, I'm also butthurt because I solved the problem within 72 hours of hearing about this, because you know how I am. I'm doing your job for you, and you still fuck it up. That's crazy work. That's actually crazy work. And by the way, this is the second time this has happened in this league. Yeah. Not once, the second time. So you would have thought that by now they would have at least had the faculties to go, okay, if a situation like this happens, here's what we're going to do. Nope. Just seemed like we're just going to,
and
pull things out of thin air and just say whatever we're going to say.
I kind of want to re-summarize and reframe a couple ideas, because I think there's the perspective that the average Valorant fan, I think, has is not aligned exactly with what we're talking about. I think people are very player first, not team first. They don't really understand the dynamic of what it means to play as a team. And I think Talon is disproportionately a minority example of like a culture and a synergy that just works in a specific way. I think there's other examples of like teams that have become good friends and that sort of thing, but it's kind of hard to describe the package deal that they've become as a result of how well they synergize with each other. And I say that to say that I think people are listening to things you say, and people who are Frost haters or kind of on the fence are going to say, well, that Hector, of course, that's just not how it works. Like that they're never going to like be that. But like, I think the kind of whole point and like one of the big hills you're willing to die on as a professional, as a human, is why the fuck can't it be? Why are we not more player and team centric? We're more focused on like these. We're talking about like 18-year-olds or younger sometimes, depending on which league we're talking about. Like, how are we not better stewards of the game, of the scene, of supporting young people, of setting them up for success instead of just leaving them out to dry? I mean, Cruz is the opposite example of that, being one of the older players in the league, but representing several
and
guys
has a master's degree.
Exactly.
Which,
like, it's just
I'm not sure.
I'm getting long-winded, and there's a reason I'm not a podcast host most of the time. But the point being, like, everything we're saying is like, it could be different. It could be different. We could be thinking about these players.
It should be different, and it's not that hard. But those MBAs did a really shitty job in this situation. I can tell you that right now, brother. Why? Partially because they don't live the life and they don't understand. Right. But my whole argument is, I think I'm a pretty intelligent person, and I mean, I come off that way because, but I have thought about this a lot, extensively, and as much grace as I've tried to give, it still comes down to these arguments that I think can't be beaten. And and I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to realize that if we're going to parade someone as being a pillar of the community, we shouldn't also make that person's life very difficult when something is happening that isn't in the control of that person.
Right.
Because it's not like it was Cruz's fault that this happened. So certainly he should have been shown a lot more grace. And certainly if he wanted to keep, and this is why I keep bringing this up, because let's assume that he wanted me gone. There is no way he would have also said that about Jovi. So what it comes down to is there was just a splintering that happened for some reason. And the press release they put out makes it seem as if they're like the heroes in this, and Talon are the big bad wolves. And I'm sorry. I understand that Talon probably is actually the direct result of what happened. But I'm also aware that there was enough time in the middle and enough other mitigating circumstances outside of that to where the stuff that happened between myself, Jovi, and Cruz, and the boys, obviously, could have been prevented and should have.
Right.
And that, I think, is largely what the message should be, is that let's not give them a pass. Because trust me, this was handled probably as badly and poorly as I would have imagined it could be under the worst possible case.
Right.
I can't think of a worse way that this could have went down. And now, as we speak, technically the players are free agents, teamless. And depending on the team that comes in, they are at the mercy of what that organization wants to do because of the aforementioned conversation about teams or own the spot, not players.
And now,
even though, as I'm going to keep bringing up, they just did that and said that to a guy that they're parading as like a pillar of the VCT community, according to Pacific, based on their own content.
Right.
Which is me, which to me is like tough.
And now I'm sure you have at least some inkling, if not some knowledge that we can't talk about. Do you have any confident expectation about who's getting the slot at this point?
I do. I'm pretty sure I know.
Yeah.
But I am going to say that regardless of what happens, it is very clear to me that they were made weaker because you can say whatever you want. They're going to kick my ass, all this stuff. I know them. I built the program. We can't assume as if it's just going to be easy. I'm not going to lay over. Jovi's not going to lay over.
Well, you're also speaking as if that team getting the slot is going to keep the Talon team together.
Right.
So,
I don't know that. I'm just assuming that it is incomprehensible to me that you come into this league and don't want the third best team in the league if you can get it.
Right.
Right. But I have seen stranger things happen. And I already told you, if there was one team that got it, they were very clear with Cruz from the beginning. Brother, we're probably going to go with people from our own country. It is certainly possible. And I will be even more pissed off than I am today if that happens.
And again,
because
not
if he is not in the league, we're going to have problems.
The narrative just from the fans alone, we said it before, I said it in a passing statement, is that like people think it's all the Primy show. And like, don't get me wrong, generational talent for sure. But the idea that you think putting him anywhere else is better than keeping him with Cruz and those other guys is cap as fuck.
Right. But it's enticing when you're putting a young person in front of the potential of money.
Of course.
And also the prospects of some of the best teams in the world. And I am not going to poo-poo. Honestly, I'm not going to poo-poo. If he makes a decision, if he makes a business decision, I'm not going to poo-poo it.
100%
If Cruz made a business decision, I'm not going to poo-poo it. But what I do poo-poo is we wanted to stay together. We had a chance to stay together. And a certain person and company decided that it was in their best interest to make that not happen as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Despite me basically doing the legwork and having people that not only would have passed riot inspection, but also were very interested in getting the number 3 team in Pacific.
Right.
Unlucky, bro. That's just fucking life. And I, unfortunately for them, am not going to take this standing. I'm tired of press releases that are complete bullshit. I'm okay with being honest about what I am, who I am, the situation I'm in, what I'm doing now. I don't think these people feel the same way. I think the press releases were a way to win the court of public opinion, to not look at the fact that they just had, for the second year in a row, a team basically disband out of the league, which basically points out that their entire decision-making process over the teams that were in this league in the first place was incorrect from the beginning. Because we've had many problems with many teams. And now they're going to change the partnership program, which is another conversation for a different day, simply to alleviate some of the stressors here, which to me is not that great a thing given the esports context, but we can talk about this some other time.
I was going to bring it up, but I actually don't know what's happening in 2027. I skimmed it when
everything is going to reset.
About,
this was the biggest reason. This is the biggest reason why me and Cruz said, yo, let's run it back one more time, is because in 1 year, everything resets. That means all player contracts reset. That means every single thing in Pacific, all the partnership teams, everything changes. And it's up to Riot again. And Riot, this is the second time that this happened, and they didn't have checks and balances. Let's assume that the third time, there won't be a third time. If the third time happens, they'll be ready to go, and they'll know exactly what to do this time. It's just unfortunate that this is the second time it's happened, and they basically obstructed this team. I think that is a very fair assessment of the situation as I see it. They just obstructed it. They basically kind of made it very difficult to keep people together, and they knew the whole time. Talon was telling them, hey, listen, we need to make decisions. Like, our coaches need to make decisions. Like, what's the word? And I waited as long as humanly possible in order to make my decision. And even now, even today, or no, sorry, not today, but even as of I would say 72 hours ago, I could have bailed and went to them because I hadn't signed a contract. But I'm not going to do that. Once you get, me, I'm a man of principle. Once I tell people I'm doing it, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to go back and
we haven't talked things. And I guess we could quickly, this is jumping out of the topic at hand, but just I guess potentially palate cleanser, unless there's also Doom on this end. How's the transition over to GE been, and what's the process like? Because you're currently got technically an 8-man roster or something like that right now for VLR.
It's just trials. Yeah. It's a new experience. Everything is interesting. I hope I don't come across poorly, but I'm still dealing with this and reeling from this Talon shit and trying to figure everything out. That I don't think I've technically given, the ownership and management, I think, the best of me, because you know how it is, right? If you talk to me, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, it was inconceivable that my life would end up where it is today, and things would happen the way that they happen. And that is not to say that I don't appreciate both the opportunity and the chance and the players I have and all that stuff. It has nothing to do with that. It's more just the shell shock of this, and then to get, to see the press release. It's even doing this episode and talking about another team while I'm on another team is weird to me.
Right.
I don't think that's fair either. You just know how I am, and I'm not about to let people continue to lie about me to me as if this shit is cool and just take this shit standing. Because I told you a long time ago, I'm tired of this shit. I'm not the one, and I'm gonna keep proving I'm not the one, because this stuff to me is incredibly unfair.
And I think us launching SpikeTalk was a way to talk about these things, or give people the platform to talk about these things. Not primarily, but that's a big goal of what we're doing. And I don't think you'd still be in the show in the way you are if we hadn't started this show, because I think you being able to be the advocate that you are for players and for personnel has really shown people where you stand. And I think I don't know the guys at Global Esports. I hope I get the chance to meet some of them in Korea or otherwise.
You will
while you're there as well. But I'd like to think that they part of the reason you ended up there, or part of the reason you'll end up anywhere, is because people see what you stand up for. And obviously, if they had a problem with you talking like this on this show, we wouldn't be doing this right now, or you wouldn't be in that facility right now. So props to G for giving you the look. And I know it's a big process ahead of you with a new team and stuff, but I hope you're having fun doing the parts you do best with the trials and that sort of stuff. So.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm a little unhappy on a personal level, because I have to wait, the waiting part of this, because other teams, other players are trialing with other teams, and you got to find out who, and you don't want to court them too hard, because you're you want them to be happy with the decision that they make, so you're trying to
right.
So this part of the job fucking sucks. I'll tell you that right now.
So you're still long distance from a roster lock at this point. It sounds like you're still figuring things out.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh, you know me, I'm coming to kill. So if
yeah.
But yeah, so now you now everyone knows why I've been the last few episodes talking the shit that I've been talking at the end of episodes.
We
and
haven't
mad
even
about
done
not
one in a
having
couple
home,
weeks, so
all this bullshit. Yeah,
Baby
but
Bay's in
like
his
this is
own,
how long it's been.
like Baby
I know,
Bay's in his
just
own
how it's been.
fucking. I wouldn't call it drama necessarily, but he's been like maybe an undue target of some hate over the Jonah situation and stuff. So I can't wait to hear his perspective on how all that's going down. But I
Yeah,
don't
I can't
know.
wait to talk about
We
that
we
too.
talking like this,
That
and
shit is
like we're
nuts.
still a while away from everything being truly settled. So who knows where everything lands in the next couple weeks?
Yeah, I don't know, man. But we'll see. I'll be happy to have him back. They won an event, which is really nice, and
Oh yeah,
you know, we'll see.
congrats to the boy.
Yep.
Well, I think we nailed what we wanted to talk about from an emergency episode standpoint. Is there anything
Yep.
we missed that we should go over?
Nope. But I will be at GC this weekend, so we'll definitely have a lot to talk
Where's
about.
that
I'll be
happening?
going in Korea. It's in
That's
Korea,
right.
so I'm gonna go watch some of the games there with Jovi actually. So
Nice. Oh yeah, that's right. He's still living over there
Yeah.
for the time being.
Yep,
And
yep.
sounds like
Yeah,
he'll be staying there. So
Yep.
well, all right, bro. Glad we got to talk it through. This quick one for you guys. Sorry to be stepping in Baby Bay shoes. I'm not nearly the same level of entertaining, but I think I kept Hector on topic for the most part. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. We're almost at 50 episodes. We'll have to try and do something big for the 50th or get a big guest or something. Maybe we'll do it live or something. We thought about doing that for this, but I don't know. We already have to cut a couple things we said. So until next time, have a good one, everybody.